Hello, Twin Flames. Welcome to this Sunday, to my channel, and to the lunar eclipse in Libra. We've been talking about it for a while. Now the time has finally come to talk about it in more detail. So this reading, I don't want to make it long, so it's still gonna be lighthearted and give you some thoughts, food for thought, and some guidance onto where you want to go next and how you want to use this information for your own journey, right? I'm gonna give you some hints. You decide what you want to do with it. For a more detailed insight for your specific context, for your story, obviously you can always book a private reading with me. So what are we gonna talk about today? What kind of questions are we gonna answer? Well, first of all, just a little bit about, eclipse season, as you know, is one, and we always call it a season because eclipses always come in a pair. There's a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. They're 2 weeks apart, and that's the eclipse season. So we're officially starting the eclipse season tonight. If you're in Europe, it's going to be tomorrow, but you can check the timings. For the Eastern Standard Time, New York time zone, eclipse will be happening between midnight and 5:30 a.m. with different phases, so pretty much through the night. So this is the start of this season. It's gonna end on April 8th with the total solar eclipse, which is of course a big deal. We will be able to see it in New York time zone and actually most of states, I think. So you can check it out for yourself. I'm already excited. I'm getting special glasses, It's gonna be Monday, which is maybe not great in terms of work and schedules, but I'll make it work. I'll be there, I'll witness it. But anyways, as you know, there is a difference between the sun energy and the moon. So essentially sun is more of a masculine energy, it's more about action, it's more about what we want to bring in. The moon is a feminine energy, but it's also more about cleansing and releasing, almost if sun is connected to the element of fire, the moon is connected to the element of water. So you can think about it that way. What are we washing off, right? What are we cleansing? What are we purifying? And since this eclipse is in the sign of Libra, come on, Victoria. Libra is a sign of connections, negotiations, finding compromises, but more than anything, building a connection with someone else, right? I'm not gonna go into too much of an Aries, and then the solar eclipse is gonna be in Aries. There's always also that axis, right? So a year ago, we had a set of eclipses in Taurus and Scorpio, for example. Those were the opposite signs, but they're on one axis. Now we're working with an axis of sort of shift a little, right, with Aries and Libra. But I don't want to confuse you, especially if you're not much of an astrology junkie. So I'm not gonna go into Aries versus Libra. I'm just gonna stick with Libra, and I want to get to the reading itself. So relationships, right? Making it work with someone else. It's not just about romantic relationships. Relationships about the world and with the world in general, at large. And of course, it's friendships, it's familial relationships, it's business relationships, romantic relationships. Every single time we connect to another energy, and we're supposed to find a way to align, to co-regulate, to come to alignment and harmony. That's what it is, right? So you can even think about it as you and whatever new thing you're trying to bring more into your life, right? Or get rid of, right? Maybe it's an addiction. So that's a relationship you have with that something, right? Whatever it is, habit, substance, something, right? And maybe you want to get rid of that. So this is that vibe where we're seeing what doesn't work for us, what is not healthy, and we want to let it go. Be open-minded in how you think about it. And of course, we'll see what comes out in the reading. I want to ask questions. What are we leaving behind in terms of the patterns in relationships that we don't want to carry forward anymore, or we shouldn't? And that's what divine is trying to bring in with this lunar eclipse, or to shed away, right? Then what are the patterns we want to solidify in this eclipse season, right? And then the third question is going to be more guidance for feminines and masculines on, you know, what action to take to maximize the benefits of it. But before we do that, I brought the ancestor deck, so we'll hear from the ancestors. And I'll start with divine feminines, as always. So let's get some guidance from ancestors in this eclipse season. And I want to talk about the season, yeah. Because whether we can try to focus just on the lunar eclipse, but essentially it is a season. It's a very important part of understanding how this works, right? Because that energy, this is a gateway. The eclipse itself is a gateway. And then it's not like it's gonna be over. You wake up tomorrow morning and like, okay, that was fun. Okay, I slept through it. Nothing bad happened, or like nothing special. I'm just gonna move on with my life. That gateway opened up, and guess what? You went through it, whether you like it or not. That's how those huge transits work. That's the macrocosmic change, right? That's the whole point. We're all impacted by it. And yes, of course, if you have Libra strongly represented, and you can check the degree, I think it's 5 degrees, but please double check what's the degree of this eclipse. And if you have something at that degree, or in Libra, or both, then those areas are going to be most impacted, of course. So I'll leave that to your own discretion. You have the witch. Be the light. Yes, please. You know, and it's especially important when we have eclipses, when the whole idea of eclipse is it's putting a shadow onto the body in the sky, right? Whatever it is. In this case, on the moon. Essentially, the earth is going to block the sunlight from the moon. So what you will see if you really, really pay attention is the moon is going to be more faint. It's not going to be illuminated as much because it's not getting sunlight, right? The earth is going to block it out. Not completely, it's a partial eclipse, but for the most part. That's why we'll still be able to see it, but it's going to be like very faint. Let's see what we have for the witch. So at that time, when there's no light, natural light, that is usually expected, that is supposed to be there, that's when our inner light has this extra stimuli, extra catalyst to burst out, to shine. That's exactly what we see here. No matter what is happening to you or around you, you have a choice. Choose not to be pulled into dramas, bickering, or energies that are just going to limit your joy. If you're surrounded by people who are hostile towards you or someone else, or you're in negative situation, perhaps in your workplace, you are being invited to be the light. You're an incredible person who can really bring light. So how can you change the energy? How can you redirect the conversation to love? How can you protect yourself? How can you help the person that is being picked on? Or are you the one who is guilty of causing the drama? You will know the answers. Know also that you're being encouraged to shine the light you were born to share. Beautiful. Couldn't have said it better myself for all the light workers out there. Let's see what we have for the masculines. Thank you, ancestors. I love it when they jump. Mirror Guardian. Take time to reflect. And look at her robe, by the way. Doesn't it remind you of the... Oh no, actually it's not a robe, it's the mirror. The mirror is showing the cosmos, the space. Beautiful. You are a beautiful being who has surmounted so many challenges and expanded in so many ways. Your angels are now guiding you to take inventory of your life. Take the time to note all of your recent experiences, the challenges you have surmounted, the strengths you have developed, and the lessons you have learned. Your angels want you to reflect on your strengths, in particular those aspects of yourself that you feel have not been acknowledged by others. Can bring in light to that. Offer yourself approval where it's due, and know that when you give yourself credit, others will be able to as well. Remember yesterday we had, I think it was for the feminines, we had a card that said you can only be the light by lighting another, something like that, right? Like, think about it that way. Lead by example, masculines. Okay, so we have 3 questions, and I'm going to answer them separately for the feminine and the masculine. And then we'll get the clarifiers. 6 of Cups, I love it. This is like inner child, seeing what it's kind of supposed to be like happy and joyful. To me, it's a little bit gruesome, maybe because of the sky, maybe because they exaggerate like the toys. And to me, it's a little bit of a, I don't know, those, you know, horror stories when the action happens in the attraction park. I don't know why, but it's like, what are the highlights? Like, what, when you think about your childhood years, so when you start looking through the pictures, so you see somebody else's kid, what does it remind you of in your childhood? Specific moments, specific events. It's gonna be very important to recall, to keep track of it, to acknowledge it, because those will be your clues. 4 of Swords. Yeah, to meditate, to reflect on it. Exactly. So what are we shedding away? Which patterns and relationships are we leaving behind with this eclipse and eclipse season to follow? Queen of Wands clarified by 8 of Cups. I mean, literally. Literally leaving the drama queen behind, right? Like, if you were still wondering, there you go, 8 of Cups, leaving it behind. In its shadow mode, the Queen of Wands is the drama queen. It's the queen that is the person, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, really, we're talking about energies here. But it means that, yeah, it's like being, I don't know, overly emotional, demanding attention, stirring the pot, making things overly dramatic where maybe it's not needed. Healing it properly and removing the need to be that intense when things go badly, when you feel insecure or unprotected or not treated well, right? Like, that you don't really have to go there. You can stay within your center. And if you're not at the level where you can find a better, healthier way to deal with these situations, then at least don't respond, don't react right away. Give yourself and the other person that grace of taking it slow and feeling through it, thinking through it, and then responding. For the masculines, we have Ace of Coins and Ace of Pentacles. Wow, which is essentially the same thing. Leaving behind the extreme focus on the Pentacles. And I know you may feel like it is about work and job and finding ways to cut some corners and get on top, which it is, it could be, and Libra is about that too, like those relationships as well. But remember, the Pentacles are not just about money, so we're also talking about treating relationships as transactional, where it's like, okay, so I'm gonna give you gifts, or I don't know, I'm gonna provide for you, maybe like pay for a place to live for the both of us and all that. What am I getting for that? Well, like, what can you do for me? What's in it for me? And then they're expecting, like, again, the list from the feminine to come in and be like, and then assess and like, okay, it's gonna, so you will be the one cooking, and you'll be doing things that I want to do in bed, and you'll be listening to my BS whenever I feel like just sharing out loud angrily. You know, and will make my job a priority over yours and things like that. So that's what kind of like, it may seem pretty innocent at first, but that's what then takes over and leads to that takeover of the masculine versus feminine. And the disintegrated masculine is the energy that wants to be on top, whether it's directly, technically through money, or it's with some other kind of power and resources that they have access to. And because they have that, they can then dictate the rules. They feel better about themselves, right? Like that's the image of the masculine in the society. And they feel like they can then, they're in charge and they can decide, which is what that ego is leaning towards, right? So it's leaving that behind. One, like the idea of being that conservative, first of all, and thinking that the amount of resources is the utmost treasure and precious thing, because that's what's gonna get them success in relationships that they want to build. Okay, what are we ushering in with this eclipse? What are we creating or strengthening? The Wheel of Fortune and Ace of Swords for the feminine. Yeah, truly staying in alignment, not being too fixated on a specific mindset, on a specific idea, on a specific expectation or outcome from a person, from a situation, from a plan that you have, right? But seeing that the truth a lot of times is that things change, energies change, we always grow, especially as twins. This is so fluid that like even your own desires and wishes and dreams may change between now and, I don't know, a week from now. So if you don't want to hold yourself stuck and responsible for like, okay, but I already made the dream, how can I change it so easily, right? You don't want to be stuck in the old dream if it changed for you and you feel very strongly about this new one, right? So why would you do that to somebody else or to a situation? I mean, of course, respect, mutual kindness still stands, but it doesn't mean that things need to stay exactly as they were just because there was a conversation, there was an agreement, right? What are the masculines ushering? The Fool, clarified by 7 of Wands. Yeah, this is actually a similar energy. Being more in the flow, following the natural state of things rather than being defensive and wanting to take control of how things are happening, right? Being more of like, okay, I'm just gonna go with the flow. The caveat to that a lot of times, if the energy is not healed enough, the flow actually could mean the fears that they have, you know, what they're dealing with right now in life, that's still guarding them or driving them subconsciously. But at least like that's a start. That's a very important start, at least on the conscious level, to stop just guarding yourself from those unpredictable and unknown experiences, right? Be more open to those, even welcoming them in. And I even like that this Fool is holding a wand in this deck, right? So wands in both cards. Additional action guidance for the feminines is 5 of Coins, clarified by the Emperor. And I like that there is this hand here. It's a very interesting, different take on this card in this deck, right? It's like feeling like whenever you feel lack, see where you can help somebody else. That's how you turn it around. That's how you fix it on all levels. Mindset, energetically, physically, in every shape or form. I'm not gonna go into the details of that natural law because again, don't want to make this too long, but rewind and think about it for a minute. Masculine is beautiful. Ace of Cups, clarified by the Hangman. Continue nurturing self-love and unconditional love. Continue seeing love in situations where maybe you felt like you were mistreated or things were not fair. Somebody changed their mind, right? Like, see the grace and love in what's happening to you and see how you give more of that without wanting for something in return, without even unconsciously expecting something in return, right? All right, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I love you so much, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon.